They never truly believed we were a threat. To them, we were just another curious species crawling out of its gravity well, barely grasping the basics of spaceflight. But while they watched and judged, we built something they didn't expect: KRATOS, the first human railgun. Hidden beyond Neptune, it was silent, massive, and unstoppable. I was there when the order came through, and I fired it without hesitation. No light, no warning, just a projectile moving at a fraction of light speed. In that moment, we didn't just announce ourselves, we changed the game. And the galaxy felt the tremor ripple through its bones. Everyone assumed we built the railgun out of fear of the unknown, fear of alien fleets, fear of being left behind. But that wasn't it. We built it out of memory. The memory of humiliation at the Zarnathi Peace Summit still burned in every one of us. Our ambassadors had arrived with open hands, bearing knowledge, art, and hope. We were dismissed before the opening session even ended. Called unstable, unfit, dangerous. When our delegation asked why, one of the elder species responded coldly, "You burn too brightly. Best to keep you in the dark for now." And with that, they took our scientists, claimed it was for their own protection. Earth protested, and the Council responded by sending us a treaty filled with redactions and veiled threats. So we stopped talking and started building. Not a fleet, not a war, just one weapon. A message, written in metal and velocity, that no one would be able to ignore. We didn't ask for respect anymore, we engineered inevitability. While the galaxy built fleets with elegance and diplomacy, we put our genius into sheer, raw force. We wanted them to remember us. And with KRATOS, they would never forget who we were again. Antares Prime wasn't our enemy. It was just visible. A fortified orbital ring, bristling with sensor arrays and weapon platforms, patrolling one of the core trade routes in the Concorde's inner ring. A symbol of power, security, and technological superiority. That made it the perfect target. When KRATOS fired, the slug reached Antares Prime in just over 7 minutes. No warning, no heat signature, just kinetic silence, traveling at nearly 12% the speed of light. The orbital defense ring had been tracking for anomalies, pirate raiders, even rogue AIs, but nothing could have prepared it for that. The impact wasn't an explosion. It was annihilation. The slug passed clean through the station, vaporizing alloy, crew, and shielding in its path. The detonation from secondary systems, reactor breaches, munitions, and atmospheric collapse rippled across the sky like thunder frozen in vacuum. Sensors on nearby colonies picked up the event, but none could identify the source. Some blamed a malfunction. Others suspected sabotage. But deep down, every military analyst watching the data knew this wasn't an accident. This was precision. Intentional. Unstoppable. For the first time in 1,000 years, the Galactic Concorde faced a weapon it didn't understand, and worse, couldn't defend against. The council chamber on Virex 9 had never seen such disorder. Normally a place of careful deliberation and ceremonial calm, it was now a storm of accusation and panic. Delegates from 100 species shouted over one another, demanding explanations, reparations, and, above all, answers. The Antares incident had shattered their illusion of control. A fortified orbital ring, gone in a flash, its debris still raining down on nearby settlements, without any trace of who had pulled the trigger. Some claimed it was a Creel superweapon. Others blamed the Averin, citing old rivalries and hidden research programs. The Kthrak representative pounded its carapace and demanded a full military response to someone, *anyone star. But none of them wanted to admit the possibility staring them in the face: humanity. The humans had gone quiet after the Zarnathi humiliation. No more embassies. No diplomatic exchanges. Just silence. But now, with this impossible strike, the room was shifting. The whispers had begun. If they did this, what else are they hiding? I watched from our Black Ops relay feed, listening to ancient empires scramble in confusion. We hadn't made threats. We hadn't declared war. But in one act, we had forced the galaxy to say our name again, with fear in their voices. 3 standard years have passed since KRATOS fired its second and final shot. The railgun remains dormant, buried in ice and silence beyond Neptune, cold as the void it commands. We haven't fired again, Not because we can't, but because we don't need to. The galaxy still listens to that silence more carefully than they ever listened to our words. In that silence, they hear the threat that made them rethink everything they thought they understood about humanity. We attend summits now, when we choose to. Our envoys no longer wait in side chambers. They're seated at the central tables, flanked by cautious stares and forced smiles. Treaties are drafted with our input first, not last. Borders have shifted. Trade policies have softened. There is deference now. Not love. Not trust. But respect, earned in kinetic fire and unspoken promise. I sometimes wonder what they think when they look at us now. Do they see monsters? Geniuses? Or something they still can't define? We didn't fire Kratos to conquer the galaxy. We fired it to be heard. And now that we've been heard, we'll choose when to speak again. Because power doesn't always shout. Sometimes it waits, quiet and patient, with a finger resting on the trigger. They called it Observation Strike Unit 9, a reconnaissance fleet, but no one was fooled. 5 dreadnoughts, 2 recon spheres, a psychic triangulation array, and enough firepower to reduce a moon to molten glass. They came cloaked, drifting silently through the void past Saturn's orbit, using wormhole fractures and dark energy eddies to mask their approach. Their goal was simple: locate the source of the Antares strike, assess the threat, and if possible, neutralize it. They were confident. After all, no human ship had ever bested a Concorde dreadnought. But they didn't understand what they were hunting. From the Tundra Wraith, I watched their signature ripple across our dark space sensors. Kratos had already reloaded. This time, the slug was smaller, denser, faster, and designed to punch through high-energy deflector fields like they were paper. I tracked the lead dreadnought. My finger hovered over the firing control, waiting for confirmation. When it came, I didn't hesitate. The railgun roared in silence, and the slug struck. There was no explosion. Just sudden, perfect disassembly. The dreadnought split in two, internal gravity fields turning against the hull, crushing crew and systems alike. The rest of the fleet panicked, jumped, scattered, fled. The hunter had become the hunted. And they never saw it coming. There was no declaration. No mobilization. No fleets assembling in orbit. What followed instead was what historians would later call the Whisper War, a conflict fought not with ships, but with fear, rumor, and sudden, irreversible shifts in diplomacy. Concorde trade routes subtly shifted away from Terran sectors. Patrols were rerouted, often doubling up near Sol without explanation. Human colonies reported sudden visits from alien observers cloaked in false courtesy. And yet, no one moved openly against us. Because no one knew how many railguns we had. Some intelligence groups claimed there were dozens, scattered across asteroids and Kuiper Belt objects. Others said Earth had discovered a way to mount them on stealth ships, invisible assassins lurking in deep space. None of it was true. We had Kratos, and Kratos alone, but the fear of what we might have was more powerful than any fleet we could build. Some empires tried diplomacy. Gifts, envoys, offers of reparation for past slights. Others fortified their borders and held war games in the shadows, testing defenses they knew wouldn't work. We remained silent. That silence became our strength. Every day we said nothing, the myth of our power grew louder. In a galaxy obsessed with control, we became the unpredictable variable.